All right, SPY's pretty ugly here going into Monday. You got to expect a bounce soon. If you look at every time the SPY gets way away from the moving averages, you get these huge snapback rallies here, especially down here, and now we're getting to that point again. Moving averages, when I talk about it, I'm talking about like the 8, the 20. Those are the two kind of shorter time frame moving averages. And look how far away we are from them. Generally, you get big snapbacks. And one of these days, if the SPY gets down around 182, 183, I'm not an investor. I'm a day trader, but that's a decent place to load up for a really nice bounce. But it may never do that. All right, it could have put in the low Friday. I log in every day telling everybody anything can happen. You don't know. So when I go through scans looking for setups, like this weekend, of course, mostly looking for bounce plays because almost everything's down, right? Several days in a row. One of the scans I run are stocks that are down at least 4 days in a row, and then on the last day, which would have been Friday, are down more than 5%. Sometimes that can yield some nice setups. Then you look at the daily charts of those individual names and see if something's coming into support and so on. All right, so having said all that, here is my list for Monday. Remember, I'm just a day trader. I'm looking for stocks that can give me a trade on Monday. All right, because I don't hold overnight. This is one of the rare times I'm not jealous of swing traders, because trading the way I do, I never get the benefit of being in something that's running 2 or 3 days in a row. You get huge gains that way, and so I never get that benefit. But at the same time, I do sleep a little better, and I have very few red days. Period. Whereas swing traders do have to sit through red days in their portfolio. So everything's give and take, and it all matches to what your personality is. So I've settled on my methods here, and it works great for me because I can be in front of my monitors every day and trade. So it's what I like. All right, so here's what I've come up with. I'm going to go backwards. Let's start with some potential long plays, and these are stocks that have kind of held up in a very, very weak market. So COOL, I don't know if you call this held up, but it had a really big spike and actually held up pretty well the last couple days, right, when the market was really weak. So it didn't give it all back. So this one is actually kind of interesting. Not in love with it, but if you get up over 145, this one might, especially if there's some a market bounce on Monday, then it becomes really interesting. HART, another relative strength stock, nice volume spike and a nice spike, gave some of it back, about half of it probably. But that's, again, I like to go to things that were really strong in a weak tape in case the market bounces. Those should really give some nice bounces. And now into the actual bounce plays. EARS, which moved from like 4-ish to almost 8 in a couple of weeks. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Had a big down day on Friday, so this one might be ready to bounce. Goes on watch. It's had some really nice moves lately. Home builder LEN. Let me pan out on this one to show you what I'm looking at. LEN. Talk about away from the moving average. This is almost straight down. And had a really nice bounce back here about a year ago, around 41. This was 41.30. I think this was 41.25. So we might get there on Monday, anywhere around 41. That one might be, with it extended to the downside in the short term, might get a nice snapback. So keep your eyes on the home builders, and if they're popping, hopefully LEN, Lennar will pop in your head because that one's pretty interesting. MXIM. Another big red day, big volume on Friday, and it's had some nice bounces below 32. So if this one gets down below 32, might give a nice snapback play. Want to go to the Gunmakers here. They've had a huge move because our president is such a great gun salesman. And now, after this big breakout, right back down, you could argue the market might be the reason these are coming back down. You got great support around 22. It closed at 22.63, and you've got the 20-day there. So a few days ago, I wouldn't have expected this to get to the 20-day, so this just might be a gift. This is a great prospect for a nice snapback because this was one of the strongest stocks on the planet, coming into this market sell-off. All right, so that's SWC Smith & Wesson. GSI, after this crazy move to almost $5, now you're 3 days lower. I want to watch that one for potential bounce. Netflix had a huge move the other day, and now you're 2 days lower. 110 area. When I give a number, it's not an exact number, it's more of an area. The 110 area was resistance here and here after the gap down. Then it just ripped through it. So that's an area where I look for a potential bounce Netflix. And again, it might open at 117. I don't know how the market's going to open tomorrow, but put that in your notes. I like Netflix around 110. I'll be looking at on an intraday basis for a bounce there if that happens. If not, I got plenty of other stuff to look at. A couple airlines I want to watch. This one is Alaska Air Group, almost straight down. Again, so is everything. ALK had resistance right below 68 here. It actually went through it here. So the 68 area, you can see right here, it almost hit it. So this area was resistance. Maybe I should have said 68.50-ish. Sometimes it just makes things easier if you put a line there, right? So, and again, you can see it's not exact, but this was resistance here, here, here. So anywhere down here around 68, as extended as this is to the downside, and if you think about it, with oil falling, you might get a really nice snapback in airlines as people realize, hey, that's bullish for airlines. Okay, so that and United Airlines, UAL, getting close. I love this one down at around 50. Look at the bounces around 50 for UAL. So love to see an early sell-off. I'll be a big buyer down here around 50 if I get a proper setup. Okay, and then lastly, LEI. Again, this one made that move from 2 to over 10, and now you've got consecutive lower days. In a weak market, you got a really nice bounce. I'll go to 5-minute candles. You got a really nice bounce near the end of the day, and then the market just took everything back down. So this one's super interesting to me. Keep your eyes on LEI. That's a nice bottoming tail there. That one's a really big mover at times. So that's it. That's my list. Trade safe, guys. There's no. I tweeted something this weekend. Basically, that's really helped me, and that is, and a lot of newer traders can't do it, and that's just sitting in cash unless and until I get a setup that meets all my parameters and I'm not fighting the market, and I can put some, a good size money to work and hopefully make some quick money, 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'm back out to cash again and waiting for the next one. So a lot of people don't have the patience on the entry. I've been accused of not having patience holding my positions long enough when they're working, and that's absolutely true. Something I want to work on this year. I need a market to settle down a bit before I gain any confidence to hold a little longer. But I sat for like 3 hours on Friday, and then all of a sudden Weight Watchers was putting in an intraday bottoming formation, and then boom, $1,000 in about 15 minutes, and I was back to cash again. So that's my method, and it doesn't mean every trade I take is gonna work, but I try not to put money to work because sitting in cash, and that cash in your trading account, and you're right there waiting for something, waiting for a setup, that's a very powerful weapon that hedge funds, mutual funds, they don't have that option. They're not that nimble. So if you want to day trade, take advantage of how nimble we can get into and out of stuff, and then don't feel like you always need to be into something, all right? I think that's really, really good advice because I'm not just giving that advice, I live it, all right? So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see everybody on Monday.